docks, the bane of my existence. This is probably the 10th dock that I've tested so far, and to my surprise, even though I've actually never heard of Orico before, it's one of the better models. Not only because this is built directly for my Mac Mini M4, but it has every port I need for content creation actually directly accessible. And most of all, this has a very small footprint, saving me desktop space and headaches. The installation is pretty simple. You take your Mac Mini M4 and prop it sideways onto the device, into the silicon halters, then you connect the USB-C cable to the back of your Mac, and that's actually it. Before we go into all the ports and connections, something that bothered me with my M4 base model, like most other people's, was the limited hard drive space of 256 gigabytes in the base model. If you use it for surfing or writing only, I guess that's fine. But since this is actually my render and content creation station, it rhymes, more space for tools, software and AI models was actually needed. Now, there are two versions of the Orico dock available. One, the VS10, which you can install your own M2 SSD into it with up to 8 terabytes, and the one I actually have, the VSP10, which has a built-in M2 SSD, and in my case, 2 terabytes of storage. This has a built-in Orico SSD, I couldn't find out which one, and while using it I have never felt any kind of slowdown or noticeable lag while working in Resolve, After Effects or ComfyUI. But let's be honest, the M2 SSD itself is only half as fast as most other NVMe SSDs on the market, clocking in with a max read speed of 3600 megabytes per second and write speed of 3000 megabytes per second. Now this sounds like a negative point, but as far as I can see this is plenty enough speed, especially since everything in the dock is connected via a single USB-C 10 gigabits per second data cable to your M4 Mac Mini. So when calculating and doing the maths, the NVMe inside is actually 3 times faster than what the USB-C cable can actually push through. So I'm happy with the maximum speeds. And also, to be honest, if I would need more, I could always change to a Thunderbolt 4 dock that I have, like the Ivanki Fusion Dock Max. Before we talk about all the ports on the dock itself, a quick thing for people who have problems with the power on and off button of the Mac Mini. This dock makes it easier to get to it, since it's now, well, vertically aligned. Just reach behind it and you can switch it on or off. Also, since the Mac Mini is vertical, the heat dissipation is much better since there is nothing blocking the cooling on the underside of the M4 Mac Mini. Now let's go over the rest of the dock ports. Let's start at the back. We have a PD 100 watt USB-C input for charging external devices, such as, well, my MacBook, which I always use for writing, or a phone. And this is enough speed to get my Nothing Phone 3A to full in roughly 30 to 40 minutes, and can charge my MacBook in roughly 2 hours as well. Next, the 10 gigabit per second connection port to the Mac that we already talked about. Then we have 2 slower 5 gigabit per second USB-A ports, one on the front, one on the back for your regular connections, as well as a single HDMI port with 4K 60 Hz that can actually output only to a single monitor. And then we have a single LAN Ethernet port with 1000 megabits per second for those who don't want to use Wi-Fi. Switching to the front, we have another USB-C port with 10 gigabits, 2 USB-A ports, one with 10 and one with 5 gigabits, and 2 card reader slots, one for the smaller TF cards and one for regular sized SD cards. Now, I've been using this dock for the better part of a month now and had no problems so far, even though I don't use the dock with most of its functionalities. So I'm not using all ports. My monitor is actually connected via USB-C directly to one of the Thunderbolt ports directly on the Mac. I mostly use the internal M2 SSD, obviously, as well as the card reader slots and one single front USB-A 10 gigabit port for transferring RAW RAW files from my RAD Komodo onto the internal SSD for working in DaVinci Resolve. This worked flawlessly so far and no problems at all. Another thing, the dock itself is much cheaper with all of its port and the 2 terabyte SSD internally than when you actually buy a Mac Mini with 2 terabytes from Apple directly. Actually really happy that I made the choice of getting the smallest version of the Mac Mini and then upgrading it later on with an external dock. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments and I'll try to answer them there. That's it from me now. My name is Leech and I'm off writing the next scripts. If you like this video, consider hitting that subscribe button. Plenty more reviews, audio nerdery and also stuff on the Mac Mini and its accessories coming your way soon. Have a great day, see you around, and goodbye.